Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome to Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome to Lady Khadija radiallahu anha online college. May God be pleased with her. Year 1 A-level maths, pure maths. Following the Edexcel UK and international A-level syllabus. Today's topic is a new chapter and we are looking at quadratic equations. So you can use a calculator to solve these, and that's what's recommended by me. But you also need to know how to factorize them when you're doing quite advanced problems. So it'd be a bit too time consuming to reach for a calculator every time. So you just need to know how to factorize. So let's take a look at the first example. We've done factorizing before. So it's really just a reminder, x squared minus 2x minus 15 is equal to 0. Let's factorize so that we're going to have double brackets and we're going to need x and x to make the x squared. Let's take a closer look at this minus 15 now. So minus 15, if we think of the factors of minus 15, we've got 1 and minus 15, minus 1 and 15, 3 and minus 5, minus 3 and 5. That's all of them. Okay, which pair can make the minus 2? If I was to add those numbers together, add a pair together, which pair would make minus 2? So not the first pair, not the second pair. 3 plus minus 5, that would do it. Minus 3 plus 5 would make positive 2. So as soon as you found the right pair, you can stop there, and they're the numbers we need. So 3 and minus 5 plus 3 and minus 5. Okay, now a new principle that you need to understand is that when you have two numbers that times together to get 0, then at least one of the numbers has to be 0. At least one of the numbers has to be 0. So if I just put in a couple of examples, 4 times 0, that would make 0. 0 times 1,000 would make 0. 9.5 times 0 would make 0. As long as one of the numbers is 0, you will be guaranteed to get 0 after you multiply the two numbers. If neither number is 0, then you'll never ever get 0. So you can get close times minus 0.001, but you won't ever actually get 0 unless one of the numbers, at least one of the numbers, has to be 0. So that's the principle we're going to use here. We are going to say, look, this is really the first bracket times the second bracket is really one number here times another number here. So if you think of this whole thing as one number and this whole thing as one number, then one of them has to be 0, or both, but at least one of them has to be 0. So that way what we do is we just focus on one bracket at a time and we say, right, let's say this one is 0. So in that case, we would say x plus 3 is 0. So something plus 3 is 0. What is that something? Let's take the plus 3 across to the other side. So x is equal to minus 3. So that's one possible answer. But we said at least one of them is 0, so it could have been the other one that's 0. So then x minus 5 is the other one. If we make that equal to 0, it has to be, if the first one isn't equal to 0, then it has to be the second one equal to 0. So if the first answer is not minus 3, then we have to have x minus 5 equals 0. So take the minus 5 across to the other side, and x equals 5. So in this type of equation, you always get two answers. X equals, in this case, x equals minus 3 is one answer, and x equals 5 is the other answer. You cannot stop until you get both answers. Let's go on to the next one. X squared equals 9x. You saw in the last example how important it is to make to know that one of the numbers has to be 0. That only works if we're trying to make 0. Here we're trying to make 9x, so the technique can't be used yet. What we'll do is we'll take the 9x to the other side. Now we've got 0. Now we'll factorize. This is not double brackets, this is just common factor x. And then we'll use the same principle. We'll say, look here, we really have a number times another number. We have this times this to make 0. So one of them has to be 0. At least one of them has to be 0 or both. So here, if we just take the x for now, that's saying x has to be 0. Well, there's no more work to be done on that. Or we can say x minus 9, that's the one that's working out to be 0. Take the minus 9 across, and that's x equals 9. So again, two answers, and we can stop there on that one. Next one is 6x squared plus 13x minus 5 is equal to 0. So here it's got equal to 0 already, so that's good. We're going to need that. We have a slightly more complicated quadratic, so we're going to have to use the AC method. So here's A, here's C. If we multiply them, that's minus 30. Think of the factors of minus 30, and we will start in order. So 1 minus 30, minus 1 and 30, 2 and minus 15, minus 2 and 15. Keep going until you've got all of them is the best thing to do. 5 and minus 6, minus 5 and 6. When you can't get any more, then take a look through. The middle number is plus 13. So you're trying to get which pair will add to get plus 13. So it's that pair. And then rather than put them straight into the brackets, this technique is a little bit different. 6x squared stays as it is, minus 5 stays as it is, equals 0 stays as it is. But in the middle, the plus 13 has to be changed to minus 2 plus 15x. So minus 2x plus 15x. You're using these two numbers to rewrite the plus 13x. You can use them just as you see them. So minus 2x plus 15x. You can check with the calculator that minus 2 plus 15 does make the plus 13. But we know but we can trust it for now. Now what you want to do is just try to put an invisible wall down the middle. And just try to think that you're only seeing one side at a time. Just factorize that into a single bracket. So looking at the 6x squared minus the 2x, we're looking for a single bracket factorization. What factor can we have at the front? We've got x in common, and we've also got the number 2 in common. So then that's the common factor, the 2x. Then filling in the inside, I'm going to need 3x to make the 6x squared, and then minus 1 to make the minus 2x. Same thing on this side, single bracket. Common factor looks like it's 5. So 5 times 3x would make the 15x, and 5 times minus 1 makes the minus 5, and that 5 is a positive 5. Okay, good. Now we can finally write the two brackets as a pair. So the first bracket is whatever is coming here and here, the 2x plus the 5. And the second bracket is whatever you see being duplicated twice, 3x minus 1. If these two brackets are not being duplicated, if they're not copies of each other, then you've done something wrong in the factorizing. So do make sure those two are the same. Okay, let's apply the technique from before. So one bracket at a time equal to 0. That means 2x plus 5 is 0. So take the 5 across, divide by 2. That's your first answer. Now do the same with the second bracket. Take the minus 1 across, divide by 3. And that's your second answer. Okay, do feel free to replay the video when you are going through this. If you need to slow down at certain parts, that's a perfectly natural part of learning. So sometimes I find I have to, when I'm learning something new, I have to watch the video a good few times. Here, the last one, x squared minus 5x plus 18 equals 2 plus 3x. We want to take advantage of what we did earlier. We want to make it sure this side is equal to 0. So take the minus 2 across, take the minus 3, take the 3x across. So you'll end up with x squared minus 5x minus 3x plus 18 minus 2. That does equal 0, so now let's simplify. And then finally, let's get our brackets and our factors filled in. So here are the two brackets. Looking at the plus 16 here, and the factors would be 1, 16. We can have, to make a plus, it could be both a negative, so make sure you watch out for that. 2 and 8, minus 2 and minus 8, and 4 and 4, as well as minus 4 and minus 4. So which pair would make the minus 8 if I add them together? Not this one, not this one. This would make 10, this would make minus 10. So still not got 8 yet, and it is the last pair I need. So they're the numbers that go in. So I've got x and minus 4, x and minus 4. Solve each bracket one at a time. Here both brackets are the same, so once you've solved the first one, you'll automatically have the answer to the next one. X equals 4, and just copy that because the bracket is the same. So here it turns out to be the two answers are the same, so that's called a repeated solution or a repeated root. So overall answer is x equals 4. Okay, join me again for more with Lady Khadija Online College. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.